Well, I'm up here on top of the mountain with my friend Jesus. So last time I did a sermon, I had a friend who I called the Creator. And during the sermon, I talked about my friend, the Creator. And I think everyone thought I was nuts that I was up on top of a mountain speaking to an imaginary God. Today, they're probably going to think I'm nuts and talking to an imaginary Jesus. But maybe you could just at least like say hello so they hear a voice.
Hello.
All right, you heard him. He's real. I am on the top of the mountain with Jesus. And I was on top of the mountain with the Creator a few weeks ago as well. So I thought today I'd talk about Jesus since I'm walking with a version of him today. I think a month ago when I started wearing the collar and started coming on social media talking about Jesus, it surprised a lot of people because for most of my life, I was not a big Christian. I think, like many of us, we have lots of religious trauma from being raised, although raised with good intentions, we frequently see things growing up that hurt us. Me, I grew up in the Catholic faith, and I would see very God loving Christians who would not say nice things and not be nice to people. Sometimes immediately coming out of church, they'd yell and curse at people. I remember one time in particular, coming out of church, a group of us were crossing the road, and a car wasn't stopping. And coming out of church, one of the people we were with started cursing at this car, right? And I was like, wait, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't seem like God. This doesn't seem like religion to me. And and I just became disenfranchised. I think also when I started traveling and started visiting Spain and seeing the things and persecutions that Queen Elizabeth did to my ancestors in Andalusia, to the Muslims, to the Jews. When started seeing certain political movements in this country, that it seemed like some of the more racist political people were also the most God-fearing people. And just didn't make sense to me at all. And it didn't seem like the people that were most Christian were loving as Jesus wanted us to love. And so I turned away. I turned away from Christianity. I turned away from organized religion for a long time. And then I started experiencing plant medicine. And the first time I had a mystical journey about 10, 11 years ago, I witnessed God. I witnessed God for the first time in my life, and I felt connected with everything and everyone, and it challenged everything I thought. It made me believe in non-duality, this idea that me and you are actually the same, and that the separation between us is just an illusion. That's non-duality. It made me question the afterlife because I felt connected. I felt like I had lived infinite timelines from the beginning of time to the end of time. And I didn't see how that fit with the traditional Christian teachings of heaven and hell when I felt like I had already lived everything from every perspective. And and religion just didn't seem like a fit for me anymore. So I started becoming a psychedelic facilitator. I founded this church, Heart Space Church, which was focused on love. And I had this idea months and months ago, even before I started sitting with medicine again. And then a funny thing happened because the first time I sat with the mushrooms, I experienced Jesus, even though I wasn't intended to, even though I'd been like detached from that faith for a long time. I experienced Jesus in ceremony. And not only did I experience Jesus, the message I got very loud and clear was, you are Jesus, Robert. You are Ram Dass, who's one of my gurus. And not only that, you're Buddha and you're so much more than all of them. And I came out of that ceremony thinking, what the fuck is wrong with me? How could I be so egotistical to think that I'm Jesus, to think that I'm Ram Dass? I mean, Ram Dass was such a humble figure. I love him so dearly. I can never be like Ram Dass. I can never be like Jesus. That's what the message showed me. So I prayed, I meditated, and then over and over again, whenever I sat with the medicine, I kept getting the same message. Jesus kept showing up every time. And from a facilitator point of view, one of the things I teach people is when you're in medicine, trust, be open, and let go. The medicine is trying to show you something, and when you stop resisting, and when you just trust that the medicine is showing you what you need, and listen to it with an open mind and open heart more than anything, it will show you things. And so after Jesus repeatedly came up, the last time I was at Alex Gray's chapel in New York, and he has a hall of mirrors, and one of the mirrors is an image of Jesus. And I took medicine, I went to the hall, and you're standing there looking at a mirror. I was standing there looking at a mirror, and the mirror is Jesus, right? And I'm looking at what is supposed to be a version of myself, and it's Jesus. And I said, okay, what is the medicine trying to show me? So I went to the Bible, and there in the Bible, everything changed. Everything changed. Even though, for a long time I thought that the Bible was like a hoax. Like there's so many fallacies and folk tales in the Bible. Like I don't necessarily believe in all the miracles and everything. But I went to the Bible, and I found a passage that really made it all make sense. And the passage is, when the disciples are asking Jesus, where can we find you? Jesus says, I am in my Father is in me, and I am in you. I am in God, God is in me, and I am in you. God is in you, Jesus is in you. And that opened my mind that Jesus was actually preaching non-duality. Jesus was preaching, no, like I'm not the I'm not the Messiah. You're the Messiah. You're looking for God. God is in you. I mean, Jesus even says, when talking about heaven, he says, what does he say? He says, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven is not in these beautiful clouds in Phoenix. The kingdom of heaven is within you. God is within you. You are the Messiah, Robert. You are God. And I was like, whoa, that's deep. That's deep. And yeah. And so I read that. And then I reread the New Testament again, not from the perspective of the way it's taught in school, but from the perspective of Jesus. And like if the New Testament, if I'm Jesus, if I'm, which non-duality means I am, so are you, by the way. If I am Jesus, then that book was written about me. And it was written 100 years after I died, not by my disciples, but by followers of my disciples after my story has been told over 100 years in some cases. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that is. And I reread that book as an imperfect biography of me. And it all made sense. It all made perfect sense. We grew up thinking that Jesus is powerful because he performed miracles, because he raised from the dead, because he raised Lazarus from the dead, because he healed the lepers, because he did all these things, right? But first off, let me go on a tangent. The oldest record of Jesus is written by Paul. Paul wrote the record of Jesus 20 to 40 years after Jesus died. Paul never talks about the miracles. None. The only miracle he talks about is Jesus being raised from the dead. He never talks about healing people, raising Lazarus from the dead. That's the oldest record we have, and it never talks about the miracles that we say only Jesus can do. That should be a hint. Those miracles, again, come 100 years later when people claim to write the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And so, rereading this, as if I was Jesus, what is Jesus' superpower? Why did people follow him? And the answer is so simple. It's love. It's love. I mean, Jesus says it. He says, my commandment is love one another as I have loved you. And how did he love us? He loved us deeply and unconditionally, he saw God within us. He, Jesus and my, if I was Jesus, if that book was written about me, I wouldn't have seen heaven up here. I wasn't, the Jews at the time were praying to God up here. But Jesus looked and he saw God here. He saw God in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Judas, the people. And he served them because he's realized, yes, I am the Messiah, but I am the servant of you. I'm the Son and you're the Father. I am your servant. If I can give you my blood, I would. If I could give you my flesh, I would. I will give you anything. I will die for you on the cross because I love you that much. And I want you to love other people the same. And that's kind of my history. That's how I found Jesus. That's why I'm sitting on top of the mountain with Jesus right now. The current human form of him, a human form of him. And this all happened within like a month. So yes, has it been a pretty hard pivot from talking about artificial intelligence and NVIDIA and entrepreneurship and making money and alpha couples to talking about Jesus? Yes, it's a hard pivot, but it has been the most rewarding and spiritually insightful pivot of my life. I wear this collar so that people know that I'm a servant for them, that if they want to talk about spirituality and God, I'm here for them. And yeah. And I think if we all loved each other, the world would be a better place. So thank you.